The modding scene for Black Myth Wukong has actually gotten really good. We have many mods that introduce either missing features or even completely new ones that just make the gameplay a lot more fun. And that is why today we're going to take a look at the best mods to try out right now, so let's jump right in. Starting with the first one, we have the Somersault Cloud Anywhere mod, which, just like what the name implies, gives you access to the cloud mechanic in every single map, not just Chapter 6. And that's going to give you a whole new perspective over the game, because now you can all of a sudden go in places you normally can't. And I was surprised by how many fully rendered assets we have in places we normally can't even visit, such as this full-blown rendered town in Chapter 2 in the secret map that just sits there in the distance yet still retains some of that detail even if you get close. That definitely must be a resource hog, as this is literally the case in almost every map. And speaking of maps, the next couple of mods are going to introduce this missing feature in the game. On one side, we have a mini-map mod, which, just like what the name implies, provides us with a mini-map as well as resources and secrets around us. But there's also a simple map mod that introduces a full-blown map of the current map you're in. You can easily trigger this with the M on the keyboard or R1 and arrow up on the controller. Once you pull it off, this is literally going to give you an overhead far view of the current location you're in. And this comes in extremely handy because you literally see that map in real time, including anything that spawned in it. So this means you can also toggle on and off any objectives or any pointers on the map, including enemies, treasure chests, missable or other secret things in the environments, as well as plants, and even enemies that may be disguised as plants. Those get marked on the map and in front of you too. In fact, you can pretty much pull off this HUD in front of your eyes without having to constantly enter the map menu mod, and for the most part, I found it pretty useful. The only problem with it at the current time of making this video is that you cannot toggle off any of the icons you already interacted with. So if you open the chest, that's still going to persist in your HUD menu. But once it gets fixed, this may be one of the best ways to start a new gameplay, especially if you're going into New Game Plus. Now, if you have not jumped yet into New Game Plus, but still maybe want to test out your builds or just want to have some fun with many of the bosses of this game, there is an AI spawner mod in this game by Alex Poe, and this is actually going to give you access to every single creature, boss, and mini boss in this game, and now you can go ahead and summon it, even duplicates. So the way this works is pretty simple. Most of the bosses can be summoned almost anywhere, with the exception of some of the bosses that are dependent on regions. So for example, some of them may be dependent on the area you found them in and may even use some of those environments, which means you can only spawn them within those environments. But for like 90% of the rest, you can spawn them anywhere and just have yourself some challenge against them, especially if you already went through the majority of the game. And I really like this because it also lets you spawn multiple enemies, as many as you want, almost including as many bosses as you want, which is really going to up that challenge. Maybe next time you might want to implement a randomizer, boss randomizer, and start like that. A new playthrough like that would definitely be very fun. You can, by the way, also control here if the AI will attack you outright or just pause once you spawn it, or if you want to appear visible or invisible to said enemies. This way you can avoid getting absolutely downed as you're still spawning the enemies in front of you. At number 4, we can't talk about mods without also including model replacements, and we do have a few of them that went the extra steps. And one of them is the double blade lightsaber by Norx PL. This doesn't just add every single color lightsaber replacement instead of your staff in the game, there's also a mod pack for it that also includes lightsaber sound effects. And this is going to make things a lot more interesting for you if you really want to have a very wild sort of run. This is actually really well made, even though currently it is still a work in progress. Now, there are color options for literally every type of lightsaber. You have red, green, blue, dark purple, and so on and so forth. So you can go ahead and play with whichever you want. You can also choose to replace all of the staffs in the game by said lightsaber or only specific ones, such as the one that you start with at level 1. Still high quality and looks really cool. And since we're still on the subject of model replacements, there are quite a few for Wukong himself as well. You can find quite a lot of them on Nexus mods, and there are a few of them that go an extra mile. So we do have your Goku mods. Obviously, they are quite popular. There's also one that replaces the model with like Johnny Silverhand from Cyberpunk 2077, even Kratos from God of War. However, my personal favorite right now is the Fox Lady mod, which replaces your character with the Fox Lady from Chapter 5. And the reason I'm putting this slightly above the previous is because this also includes a voice mod pack for the character. So whenever you're performing attacks and doing other sort of mouth noises, I guess, they are going to get replaced by the sounds that that specific character also makes. Now, this unfortunately has to replace your armor set, specifically the Wukong mythical armor you get in Chapter 6, but you can also just keep the headpiece and then mix and match the rest of the body with other armor pieces. They still fit very well with this model. Oh, and by the way, this is only the low quality version of the character that was implemented with the mod. There's actually a way to implement one that's full on physics and has a lot more bells and whistles, but according to the mod author, that's going to cause quite a huge impact on your performance. Still, if the mod author ever watches this video, I would definitely still love that max quality version of this character with all the physics enabled and at the highest resolution, just to give it a try. I mean, some of the systems, if you're playing on a 4090, may even be able to play it properly. Now, before we move on to my favorite mod out there, we do have a couple more that can help you quite a bit gameplay wise, especially if you want to avoid cheats or hacks. So one of them is going to be the increased rare item drop rate, which pretty much, like the name implies, increases the drop rate of items that, yeah, don't typically guarantee drop from enemies, such as the legendary tiger belt you get in Chapter 4. There are many such examples with an abysmal drop rate that you have to spend a long time farming for them. But they may be very strong and you may want to get them before jumping into New Game Plus. Well, you can get this mod and increase your drop rate of those items by 2 times, 3 times, or even make them a guaranteed 100% drop rate. Give it a try, may be worth it, especially if you have really bad luck with the drops. But now that all of this is out of the way, it's time we take a look at 2 of the best mods in the game right now. One of them is going to be a lot more stable, so we're going to cover it first, and that's going to be the True Dashang. This is going to pretty much give you that 4th stance that you get normally in Chapter 6 when you equip that Wukong mythical armor and the Jingu Bang. So we're now going to get this without having to go into New Game Plus 4. You can pretty much use it the moment you install the mod, and it's going to give you all of the cool new moves, including that 4 focus point really heavy hit that absolutely demolishes enemies. But it's not only that, you're pretty much going to replace it with all other attacks that you get in the true Wukong mode. So that's going to also include all of the other stance related abilities that get mixed in on 1, 2, and 3 focus points. Now, in case you don't want to go with the same setup using Jingu Bang but still want to retain the 4th stance, there are optional files for this mod that you can install to pretty much make this possible with any of the staffs in the game. Even with the Chubai or the Tri-Point Spear, you can actually implement this via the optional files mod section. So definitely go ahead and try it out. It's going to give you all of those bells and whistles that you need. I'm not sure if it's like completely going to give you every single moveset out there, but from my testing, it seems to give you like the majority of them, or at least I have not seen a difference compared to the one that you get in Chapter 6. And this is going to bring us to the last mod on today's list, which is the Great Sage Broken Shell mode. Now, there are multiple of these on Nexus mods that you can find. I'm pretty sure that the original source is some user in China that actually recreated this. But if you played against the final boss of the game, the first one, you're going to probably recognize this. It gives you pretty much the same movesets as the Wukong shell that you fight at the end of the story. And you're pretty much going to get the same attacks, the same movesets. I'm pretty sure that you also get an AI here that kind of moves on its own a little bit, which I'm not sure if it's intended or part of the mod, but it's very much welcomed. So it gives you all of those insane attacks that Wukong also uses against you, including the oversized staff, of course, with a much bigger reach, and obviously all of those crazy jumps that keeps on doing. But beyond that, you also have the somersault attack, and I'm pretty sure that there are some hidden triggers in there to pull off some of the other attacks. I can't really wrap my mind around how you can even pull these off, because it seems to be very different on keyboard and mouse compared to how easy it is to trigger it on controller. So controller for some reason works a bit better for me to trigger some of these crazy, well, attack animations. But it's a very unstable mod. It's going to crash you pretty much every minute or so once you activate this. So unfortunately right now it does need a lot of fixing, and it's still a work in progress. But if somebody can get it to work 99 or 100% of the time, it may be one of the most fun ways to play the game. Oh, and by the way, you can't really move on your own in the Wukong mode. You kinda only get to dodge in the direction that you want to. So like I said, work in progress, still needs a bit more time. But yeah, that pretty much concludes today's video with the best mods available right now for Black Myth Wukong. Let me know down below in the comments which one was your favorite. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.